All right, why don't we get started? We can always, if I see other people pop in, I can update them as they come on in. But thank you for all joining us today. I'm sorry that it's via Zoom and not in person. It's a really weird situation that we're all in right now. But I'm glad that you all are at least getting the chance to interact with us during these crazy times. And I hope you all are holding up okay. So today we're going to be talking about the LGBTQ Resource Center, which is on campus. Which I am currently not at, but Chad is. Um, so I see that everyone is on mute. Fantastic. This session is currently being recorded, just so future viewers who weren't able to join at this time are able to go back and rewatch and see what questions that we ask and what questions you ask, and hopefully get a little bit more information to make a good informed decision about which college they will be attending. Just a little bit about myself. I'm Meg Quint. I'm a current junior at Hobart and William Smith. I'm originally from North Andover, Massachusetts. I'm studying biochemistry and philosophy. I'm involved in quite a bit on campus. I work in the Office of Admissions. I am a leader in the LGBTQ Resource Center and other LGBTQ different student groups on campus. I do a lot of work with the One Love Foundation, which educates young adults on healthy and unhealthy relationships. I started our American Chemical Society chapter, and I've done a ton more, but that's just a little snippet. Today, I am joined by Associate Director of Student Activities, Chad Freeman. Chad, to get us started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at the colleges?
Absolutely. Thanks, Meg. Hi, folks. My name is, as Meg said, Chad Freeman. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I currently serve as the Associate Director for Student Activities in the Office of Student Activities. In my role there, I help with the orientation program. I help with advising our 100+ student clubs and organizations across campus, as well as large-scale events, programs, advising, etc. In my other role, I oversee and I supervise the LGBTQ+ Resource Center and the staff there. Currently, we have 3 undergraduate student employees who help us. Meg is one of those lovely folks who help us do events, programs, and do education on gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation on and off campus. So that's a little bit about me. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but I've lived here now for about 5 years, working at the colleges and in the Geneva area.
Okay, thanks, Chad. Really quickly, I should have included my pronouns. I use they, them, theirs. Also, if you all have questions that you would like us to address at the end of the session, if you want to pop them in the chat section, that'd be fantastic. You can either direct them just to me or to the entire group. So moving on, Chad, can you tell us a little bit about the history of the Resource Center and how it came to be, what kind of organizational support we provide?
Absolutely. So the LGBTQ+ Resource Center has been on campus since September of 2017, officially in De Cordova Hall on the 1st floor. Now, clearly and obviously, we have had a vibrant LGBTQ+ community at the colleges since the beginning. And we've had a lot of LGBTQ+ and queer identified folks doing organizational work at an undergraduate level, faculty level, and at the alum level as well. But it wasn't until 2017 we had an opportunity from some fantastic student leaders on campus who had organized alongside some faculty, staff, and some alum support to make sure that we were able to solidify a physical location on campus. So that's what we did. We created that space. And in that time, I came on as supervising at that exact same time, right after we cut the ribbon, and was able to work with our administration with Campus Life to solidify student employees to work in the center, to create programs that are sustainable and based in education, advocacy, and celebration of LGBTQ+ lives on campus and beyond. And since September of 2017, we have had significant growth in the center, including our LGBTQ+ student organizations meeting there regularly, as well as using the space for events and programs, working with faculty and the work that they're doing inside the classroom to host field trips, to watch plays, for film screenings and other places around central New York. And we've hosted large discussions, dialogues, conversations in the space itself. Outside of that, we also run a number of educational programs regularly, including our Safe Zone training program, our Pronouns 101 training program, our Trans 101 training program, as well as a couple of fun quizzes and passive educational opportunities to learn about things such as the LGBTQ plus flags, famous historical LGBTQ individuals, and quintessential queer terminology. So it's a little bit about how we've been around, how long we've been around, and some of the events and programs that we do there.
Yeah, something that I find super exciting as a student is that other students are finally deciding to use the space beyond events. Now students can get one card access, which is like your little student ID, to the space, so they can use it at their leisure for studying or just getting together and having a nice place to hang out with other queer folk or allies. Um, Chad, as I mentioned in my intro, I serve as a leader in the center. We've been really working hard to make it a more accessible space for students, but I know that quite a few of us are starting to get older and will eventually be, unfortunately, leaving the Resource Center and HWS to bigger and better things.
Graduation.
Graduation. Can you explain a little bit about how students, particularly younger students, can get involved in the center at various levels?
Sure. So I think that the staff has done a phenomenal job of being accessible to the student population at multiple levels. So I think our social media presence is really fantastic and wonderful. So you've got kind of that passive or digital presence that's present for our students to connect with. And we understand that's super important for our queer and LGBTQ plus identified students, particularly those who may not be out, right? Who may not be out on campus, but are still seeking community and wanting to know what the community is up to. So our Instagram, our Facebook, our website, just to name a few, are really great opportunities and ways that we can connect with our first year students and students across campus and beyond. It's also a great way for students who are studying abroad who are connected to stay abreast of what's going on campus in the LGBTQ plus Resource Center. Beyond that, I would say that the staff also does a great job at our involvement expos every single semester. At the beginning of each semester is a huge program that the Office of Student Activities puts on, where like over 100 student clubs, organizations, departments, offices get together in one large space. Sometimes it's the quad, sometimes it's the Vanderwort room, where incoming first years predominantly, but also some upperclassmen as well, are able to meet, mix, and mingle with some of the leaders of those respective organizations. And we always have a table present right next to our Pride Alliance, which is our LGBTQ plus student group on campus, as well as the QPOC theme house, our queer people of color theme house. So we always kind of group together so that folks who are interested in LGBTQ plus life on campus can get connected there. I would also say that we do a lot of really great outreach through our student leaders, through the Pride Alliance, through the leaders who work in the center, to make sure that as we meet folks across campus or they have those kind of interactions, that they know that the center is available. It's open for them. They can email the Resource Center 24/7 via email to communicate with us, as well as request access to be able to get in there to do studying or to join for the Pride Alliance meetings, or to come in and visit Meg when they're working in the Resource Center as well, which a lot of our students like to do. So there's a myriad of ways that we're able to connect with our students and be accessible to them. And then probably, I would argue, most importantly, on average, we do about 15 active programs each semester. And those don't always happen in the Resource Center. I would say about a third of the time they do. They happen there in the Resource Center, whether that's a talk back with the deans about the coordinate structure, or a film screening with one of our classes on 50 years of Stonewall. But the majority of the time, we're doing programs that are taking place out across campus, whether that would be Queer Jeopardy happening in Merritt Hall, whether that's the annual drag show happening in Bartlett Theater, or if it's the Transgender Day of Visibility taking place in the Scanlon Center. So we like to do a lot of work in-house, but we also really enjoy being satellite out there to make sure that we are casting the widest net to let students know that we're available for them.
Fantastic, Chad. I definitely have to echo that. One thing that Chad mentioned is people do come visit us during our open office hours as student workers, and I really lucked out because Pride meets during my office hours, at least this past semester.
Mhm.
So that is super exciting for me. So I am always surrounded by people.
Yeah. And a
Um,
nice little note about that, I just talked to the student leader for that group yesterday, and they're going to go with Zoom Pride Alliance meetings on Monday. So they're
yeah,
still going to be meeting even in this time. So that's really great.
super excited for that meeting.
Mhm.
Much needed right now.
Mhm.
So my last question for you before we open it up to the audience for any of their questions, um, what other support systems are there on campus, both formal and informal, for LGBTQ students outside of our resource center?
Well, I would say that the Resource Center helps with some of these things, but it's beyond, it is definitely beyond. We have a growing alum network of LGBTQ plus alums who are connected through the Office of Advancement, also through the Dean's offices, as well as career services, who are self-disclosed and as members of the LGBTQ plus community, and who are able to be there to assist students if they so wish to kind of reach out for that mentorship kind of role, if that is something that they were seeking, and certainly for career path as well. So if folks were looking for a specific career path, there's some really great alums out there through the LGBT alum network that we're growing, to be able to connect current undergrads to some alums who share an identity with film, to be able to make those types of connections. I would say that we have a vibrant out and open community on campus of faculty and staff who are around, available for discussions, conversations, formal and informal mentorship. I can think of a myriad of them across campus who are out and open and who are always willing to be there to assist our students and make those types of connections. Um, Beyond that, we have a very strong safe zone training program. I think at this point for this year, we've trained over 200 individuals this year alone, from orientation through today, who are once again faculty, staff, students, some alums, who are dedicated to increasing their awareness and their allyship to the queer community and beyond. So I think those are some really fantastic resources that we have available to us here on campus. And we also have a queer faculty, like a queer faculty and staff group that meets periodically as well. And I would think probably our LGBT studies department does a really wonderful job, as well as supporting the academic component of students who are wanting to explore gender and sexual orientation and sexual identity. So if you want to take more of an academic approach, we have a phenomenal academic LGBTQ studies program.
And something that I certainly have to add is there are a lot of LGBTQ plus staff and faculty that are super willing to mentor or just be a wonderful listening ear when you need it. My honors advisor is LGBTQ. Many of the professors I've interacted with at various levels, and some of my favorite are LGBTQ. So knowing that you're sharing this identity with people beyond your peers can be super empowering and helpful. Wow, I'm sorry, folks. So
Doing
that is
fine.
super important to know. Before I ask any other questions to Chad or answer some myself, do any of you folks have questions for us? Feel free to either type them in or take yourself off mute to ask. Okay, we have a question that was just sent to us all. Do allies often participate in the Resource Center academic program or the LGBTQ plus events on campus? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Chad, do you want to start off and then I can follow up?
Sure. Yeah, I would definitely agree to that, that we have a strong ally showing and support network on campus. So a ton of our straight allies, our cis allies, who show up to a lot of the programs that we do in the Resource Center, who are even, declared majors or minors in the LGBTQ studies program itself, and in the center as well through the Pride Alliance. All of our events and programs are always open. They are not exclusive to any one identity group. Folks are always welcome to show up and show support. And I would say we have a pretty strong showing of allies, faculty, staff, students, and beyond.
Yeah, I definitely agree. People show up during my office hours that aren't LGBTQ to just hang out and get to know people in the community, and be a good support system. So definitely.
For sure.
We have a few other questions.
Yeah.
Is there any stigmatism around being part of the LGBTQ plus community at HWS?
How about you take this one?
Sure. I wasn't sure if you wanted to or if you'd like me.
I can hop in after you.
Sure. What I always like to preface this kind of answer with is anywhere you go in the world, there will always be stigma. It's just a question of how much and what kind of stigma you experience, you hear or feel or experience. Generally at HWS, I have not felt this stigma or pressure or to conform in any way, shape, or form. I have been encouraged by many of my peers to be who I want to be. When I entered college, I had long, flowy, blonde, curly hair, and I obviously don't have that now. And that's just something I wanted to do with my appearance. And all of my friends and people in my life at HWS were super supportive of that and about my changing gender presentation throughout my time at the colleges. That being said, anywhere you go, you may experience this. And this is not to say that my experience is the same as all students. All I can give you is my experience. But from what I've seen, there isn't a terrible amount of stigma. Yeah. Anything else to add, Chad?
No, I would agree with that. We talk about this regularly in our safe zone training programs, right? About like, it's really challenging to even use the word safe zone because to, fully commit and say that we can create a 100% safe space for everybody all the time is not something that we can commit to. But what we can commit to is creating brave spaces where folks feel brave enough to be their authentic selves, to bring their full selves to their college experience holistically. And I think we do a really great job of encouraging folks to be brave and to bring their full selves. And I think that is celebrated here at Hobart and William Smith colleges. Just like Meg was saying, there's no such thing as a perfect space, and you might come across stigma. You're going to come across stigma regardless of where you go around the world. But I think that at HWS, we do a really wonderful job about combating that stigma and making sure that folks feel brave to be holistically themselves while they're here on campus. And we have wonderful tools on campus if and when folks feel that they cannot be their authentic selves, or that there's a stigma, or that they're in danger for whatever reason. We have wonderful tools on standby to make sure that those students feel heard, feel safe, and get them the resources that they need to resolve those issues on campus.
Yeah, and I'd really stress that last part. The tools that we do have on campus to combat stigma and to allow people to be their most authentic selves when they feel like they can't. The way they're set up is really to be a learning experience for all parties rather than a reprimanding system, which I think personally is so much better for our campus than many other systems that we could have in place. We could easily just say, nope, this person is going to have to do X number of community service hours or X number of this, but that doesn't necessarily force them to confront their mindset about either race, gender, sexuality, so on and so forth. But the way we have this set up is really a learning and teaching experience. So we have two questions from one person. First, you said that you stay connected through social media. What forms do you use to promote Pride Alliance? I can briefly take this one. So Pride is at a very interesting point right now. My first year, it was kind of alive and vibrant and moving for the first semester and a half of that year. Unfortunately, just because of leaders graduating and no one really being ready to take on leadership roles, it kind of dwindled for my sophomore year, which is okay. It happens. This happens with every student group at any university. There are going to be peaks of interests and valleys of people just not having the time or being interested in other things more than this, or that organization. But this year we have a really vibrant and exciting group of first year students that are like gung-ho and ready to take on the leadership and ready to get this forward. So myself and Val, who unfortunately is graduating, so you guys won't get to meet, which is so sad, really kind of took this under our wings and said, okay, let's like just get this up and running so the first years can like really take this off and really be at a place where this student organization is finally thriving again and moving and vibrant and exciting. So right now they don't have a ton of social media outlets because they're trying to like figure out what they want Pride to be and how they want Pride to function. And that is finally coming together within these past few weeks. And I'm really excited for these Zoom meetings to see how that manifests. We as a resource center are always more than happy to promote Pride to any extent that they would like. We just haven't seen that want from them at this point. That being said, they do go to the Involvement Expo just like us every semester to let people know where we are and where we meet, and how you can get in contact with us, and email, and we'll send emails if you provide us your email. And there's group me's, so on and so forth. I think that's right now where we're at, and I'm really excited because it seems like this next incoming class is going to be a super excited group as well, and I think that will work really well with what is currently being set up to take off next year.
Absolutely.
Anything?
Yeah, I would say that right now the Pride Alliance isn't super involved in, like Meg was saying, not a ton of social media, but there's other forums that they're using to communicate with one another and get the word out. So group me's, certainly through email, word of mouth, and other avenues. So I think that we'll probably see a bolstering in the next probably 6 months of social media as they organize a little bit more intently. They used to be super active on Facebook and things like that a few years ago. But like Meg says, there's, peaks and valleys, and right now they're on the rise back up to creating a new executive team and kind of coming up with a new vision of what that looks like, which is really exciting.
And I think that is really exciting for you folks who are coming in to have that ability to quickly join an executive board if that's what you would like, or take that seat back and kind of feel it out as you go.
For sure.
Okay, now this one's directed towards me. Meg, what do you like most about the LGBTQ plus Resource Center on campus? That's a great question. There are so many things that I like, and it's hard to pick one that is my most favorite part about it. So I guess I'll give you a few. I think one, physically just having a space that is dedicated for you and meant to be inclusive and meant to be there for you to move to escape to if you need it, to just be there for support if you need it, or to just physically be the only person in that space and know that everything is okay because you have a space that's meant for you, has been super helpful. I go to the resource center pretty frequently outside of my office hours and outside of my dedicated work time just to sit and do my own schoolwork or to read a book, to really just be in a space that I know I am welcome and I am comfortable in. I think the second thing that I appreciate most about the Resource Center is how we do programming and how we work to make it super intentional. For example, Chad way earlier mentioned passive programmings with quiz games that we've done before. This semester we found that those weren't super helpful and weren't the most important way to use our time. So then we dedicated it elsewhere, such as making sure we're doing extra safe zone trainings. And I'm really sad because we had so many set up ready to go for the rest of the semester that unfortunately now will have to be postponed because it's hard to do a safe zone virtually, because it doesn't feel as intentional and wonderful as it is in person. I think that just having knowing that people are there to support you, and whether that be me in my role supporting someone else, or just me in my role of knowing that I am able to support myself, but also have a wonderful group of staff and a supervisor that's ready to go to bat for me if anything ever were to happen. So yeah, I think that is my favorite parts. Those are my favorite parts. Do we have any other questions from you folks?
Anything at all?
It doesn't necessarily have to be about the Resource Center or LGBTQ life. We're also here to answer other questions that you have. We also have people from admissions on this call that are able to take different questions pertaining to the admissions process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have a question. At what size do classes cap off at? Okay, few numbers for you. Classes are capped at 35. So no, you will never get a class that is larger than 35. Rarely will you get to a class that is that large. Our average class size is 16. We have a student faculty ratio of, I believe, 11-1 this year. Most classes are around 16 or smaller. I think personally the largest class that I ever had was 24, and my smallest is 1 with my independent studies. So you will get a little bit of a range of class sizes, but not too terribly large.
Mm-hmm.
The next question that we have is, do you know of any resources outside of HWS, just in Geneva in general? Chad, why don't you take this one? Because you just had some
Yeah.
fun calls this morning.
Sure. So yeah, we have a good number of resources in our local community, even though we're a small town of Geneva, even a small a rural region being the Finger Lakes. Outside of HWS, we have the Family Counseling Services of the Finger Lakes, which houses the LGBT Center of the Finger Lakes. And they are the ones who host our Finger Lakes Pride Festival every year. I believe we're at 5 years this year that we've been putting this event on to celebrate LGBTQ plus lives and allies in the community. They also do fantastic programming outside of just that kind of social celebratory programming, as well as social community building with our You Are Not Alone program. They do that it's a youth group that they work with a number of youth in the surrounding counties to pull together a few times a month to have just dialogues and conversations and show support for youth who identify as LGBTQ+. They also do the We Exist Coalition and the We Exist FLX, which is a group of transgender and gender nonconforming, gender non-binary folks who get together once a month to do support work and community building within the trans community in our local area. And that's really fantastic. That center is located just downtown. You can take the shuttle to get pretty much down there, or it's a quick drive or probably about a 15-minute walk from campus to get down there. The current director and the co-directors now, one of them is a dear friend of mine and community partner, Mitch Leet, who's a CUCA college graduate, who I've worked with for years, and he does a phenomenal job with those events and those programs. Beyond that, we have a number of other activities. I'm thinking most notably about, we have a PFLAG chapter in Ithaca, so that's the Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. And they've got a chapter in Ithaca, which is about 45 minutes from here. So if that was something you were looking at, and there's some really great organizational work happening down there. Also in our local community, we have a monthly drag show that happens downtown. That is fantastic and has been going on for 2 years now, and that provides some entertainment, community building through our drag performances and drag shows there as well. Yeah, so those are some. We do drag. We have a drag story hour that's been getting off with our Geneva Public Library that's been happening regularly recently as well. Which has been super fun and a great way to educate and do some community organizing. And we connect our current students at the LGBT Resource Center and the LGBT Studies program, Pride Alliance, and et cetera. We tie them into a lot of those organizations. So like we've had students who have interned with Family Counseling Services of the Finger Lakes and Finger Lakes Pride. We partner with the Geneva Public Library to put on the drag story hour regularly. We host our annual Transgender Day of Remembrance program with those organizations downtown as well. So we do a lot of community connectivity throughout the year. And we have great ways. We have a number of our alums as well who like to come back to campus, who are involved in a lot of those organizations, and get connected, whether that's at homecoming, family weekend, or reunion weekend, and can offer some connectivity to that as well.
Awesome. I find it really amazing. I'm from a community about 5 times the size of Geneva, and Geneva has a significantly larger amount of support systems than my community back home does. So it's really nice. We're getting close to the end, so we're going to take this one last question. Can you talk a little bit about the LGBTQ studies major and minor a bit? I'm going to pop my email in here so you can reach out directly to me, and I can get you some more formal information. But Chad, do you want to talk a little bit?
Sure. I have not been in the classroom in a while, so it's been a little while, and I unfortunately did not go to school at Hobart and William Smith, so I can't speak from a student's perspective. But from the work that we've done in the Resource Center itself, we have partnered with members of the faculty of LGBT Studies, the LGBT Studies program, whether that's Melissa Autumn White, to do ongoing events and programs and conversations. Michelle Martin Barron to do, like I was talking about earlier, our field trips. We've partnered with her. We'll be partnering again with her this fall. So if you enjoy a good queer field trip, those will be coming up soon. We have partnered in the past to go to the Outfest, which is one of the largest LGBTQ film festivals in Rochester. And that's only about 40 minutes from here. We rent a van, a bus, take students out there to go watch movies and connect with the local queer community there. We've also, with that class, taken with that faculty member and that academic work, taken trips to Ithaca to go to the Kitchen Theater to watch Girlfriend, which is a wonderful stage play about coming out, being out, and coming to terms with your identity. So we work with our academic partners to tie in that curricular activity to the co-curricular work that we're doing on campus as well. So yeah, they have a vibrant faculty there and exciting classes that are offered. So definitely, I know a lot of our students who work in the Resource Center may not have declared a major, some of them have, or a minor in LGBT studies, but I know a majority of our students have taken some of that coursework.
Yeah, I took intro LGBTQ studies my first semester. I had the intent of being a minor, but then my academic path with the stringent classes of biochemistry took me in a different direction. But our faculty that contribute to the major and minor are phenomenal. I haven't necessarily worked with them all in a classroom setting, but working with most of them outside of that, they are wonderful, and I hear nothing but the best from my friends who are taking classes with them.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I've popped my email in the chat for all of you. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me either about this topic or anything else. That's meg.quint at hws.edu. We really hope to see you in the fall at our welcome back party for the Resource Center. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody. I put my email down there as well. My name is Chad, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And hopefully we will all see you at the big queer welcome at orientation.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.